Hey, it's Andy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do my October wrap-up. I ended up reading 25 books in October and some new favorites, so that's pretty exciting. Run through some stats, and then I'm just going to go over each book in the order I read them. Now, some of these books you've already seen me talk about in vlogs, so I'm going to try to keep it quick. So out of 25 books, I owned 11 of them and borrowed 14, whether that be the library, Scribd, whatever. Got 8 5-star books, 10 4-star books, 5 3-star books, and 2 2-star books. 16 were audiobooks, 5 were physical, and 4 were ebooks. No graphic novels or poetry collections in October. And 2 of them were ARCs. The first book I read I listened to from Scribd. It was The Chestnut Man by Soren Vistrup. It's a Swedish author. This is an adult thriller. It follows a serial killer who leaves little chestnut men at the crime scenes. There were a lot of characters and a lot of points of view in this book, which did make it confusing, and all their names and all that. And like, police procedurals aren't always my favorite, but this was really well executed and had so many layers and depth to it that didn't really make sense until the end. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I'd recommend. A lot of people gave it 5 stars. While I liked it, it just wasn't like an all-time favorite. Definitely creepy and gory. Then I read The Wicked King by Holly Black, finally. Of course I gave it 5 stars. This is the second book in this series following The Cruel Prince, which I am complete trash for. Jude just keeps making more enemies, more angst between her and Carden, of course. And I cannot wait until the 19th when that pre-order comes to my door so I can devour The Queen of Nothing. I even got my sister to read this series too, and she loves it. Before the Devil Breaks You by Libba Bray. This is the 3rd book in the Diviner series. I've talked this to death. I'm gonna just say it again real quick. It takes place in 1920s New York, following diviners who have special abilities. A lot of this book in particular takes place in an asylum, so there's a lot of like mental health and creepy asylum stuff going on, which I love. Definitely made me cry a couple times. Libba Bray isn't afraid to kill off characters. And I can't wait until February for The King of Crows. 5 out of 5 stars. Highly recommend this series. Then I picked up The Bunker Diary by Kevin Brooks from the library. This is about a group of people that get kidnapped and they all live in this bunker. Was definitely a good read for the October spooky season. Gave me a lot of Saw vibes. So yeah, it's really messed up. And like, the only reason I gave it 4 stars instead of 5 is because I needed more answers. Like, I wanted to know more about who this person was doing this to these people. But it was more about like the victims day to day and what all they went through. So you don't really know about why they're even there or who's doing it. Definitely worth checking out though. It was a quick read. Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahern. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I talked about this in a reading vlog, so check that out. This is a enemies to lovers romance between a witch and a witch hunter. And I absolutely love it. I've already been hyping this up. A lot of people on BookTube have already been hyping this up. So if you haven't read it, just go ahead and check it out. The next book I read was Dread Nation by Justina Ireland. This was the pick for my book club. This takes place during the Civil War time, and in this little alternate universe, these things called shamblers or zombies have resulted from war casualties. I don't know. This is the first in a series. The second book comes out in February. And it follows our main character, Jane, who is at this school to learn how to fight these shamblers. Now, I really liked her as a character. She's very strong. Definitely quick on her feet, being able to like lie her way out of anything pretty much. I really liked the friendship between her and Kate and the discussion in this book about being a person of color but being white passing, which, you know, I can't speak to from personal experience. But I really liked how that was discussed, and this is Own Voices. It's written by a woman of color about a woman of color. I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. I'm interested to continue with the series and see what happens. The Babysitter's Coven by Kate Williams. This was pretty much like Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets the Babysitter's Club. And it was about as cheesy as you can expect. Like, it was cute, but overall nothing spectacular. Like, it was enjoyable, but I'm definitely not wanting to pick up more in the series. Like, I just don't care enough. I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. After that, I read Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Once again, I've already talked this all the way up. New favorite book of 2019. This is Leigh Bardugo's first adult book. It is not YA, people. Like, book of the month even had this in their YA selections, and that was a whole thing. I'm gonna need a release date and a cover reveal for the sequel, like, ASAP. Alex and Darlington have my whole heart and soul. And I am a Leigh Bardugo stan for life. Definitely 5 out of 5 stars. This is my precious little baby. Real quick, if you haven't watched any of my other videos, our main character, Alex, gets a free ride to Yale because she can see ghosts. She ends up becoming part of this group that monitors secret societies at Yale to make sure people don't get hurt. Well, a lot of magic and drama and mystery and murder ensues, and it is fantastic. Then I picked up the audiobook for My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyankin Braithwaite. I probably said that wrong. The main character in this book is a nurse, and her younger sister basically keeps killing any boyfriend that she's ever had, and this girl like cleans up her messes. The premise sounded promising, but the execution just kind of fell flat for me. Like, it just didn't really do much for me, so I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. Nothing to write home about. It's very quick, so I guess I didn't feel like I wasted my time, but definitely pass. Next, I'm going to get into the books I read for Spookathon. So you should check out my Spookathon video to hear more of my thoughts on these. I'm just going to run through them real quick. Binti by Nnedi Okorafor. This is the first in a 3-part series. It is a sci-fi. Our main character gets the opportunity to leave her planet and go to a university. Very strange, but I'm also like intrigued to see what ends up happening in the series. So I have picked up the 2nd and 3rd from the library. We'll see if I end up getting to those sometime this month or not. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. The next book I finished was Twice in a Blue Moon by Christina Lauren. This wasn't part of Spookathon, but I ended up finishing it that week. I did get the ARC from NetGalley, so thank you for that. I did talk about this at length in my 9th house vlog. This is a second chance romance between Tate and Sam. Tate is an actress. We follow her on the set of a movie that she's doing with her estranged dad, who is also an actor. I really liked Sam and Tate together. Sam is a cute little, well, cute big burly country boy. And he's also a sensitive writer. They were cute. The smut level in this was very low. Only a couple little scenes that you can just skip right over if that's not your thing. I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars. Back to Spookathon stuff. House of Salt and Sorrows by Aaron A. Craig. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. And I kind of want to reread it because, I don't know, I think I might have read it too fast, and it might be more of a 5-star feel if I took more time with it, if that makes sense. This is a retelling of 12 Dancing Princesses, which I had never heard of before. Dark, spooky, atmospheric. It's fantasy, a murder mystery, a romance. Definitely worth checking out. Misery by Stephen King. This is about Paul Sheldon, who's an author, who ends up getting taken in by Annie Wilkes, who is a super fan, and she is very mentally unstable, to say the very least. There's definitely gore in this book, but it is also more psychological as well. I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars and watched the movie as well, which I really enjoyed. Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. In my vlog, I did say that I gave this 4 stars, but I'm going to change that to 3. It took me a while to get into, and it really wasn't as scary as I expected it to be. I did like the ending, and I am intrigued enough to continue with the series, which I was going to do for Witchathon, but that didn't end up happening, so I'm not sure exactly when I'll pick the rest of the series up, but I definitely want to. There's just other things that I want to get to first. I talk a lot more about this in my vlog, so again, check that out. Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. No surprise, this got 5 stars. I buddy read this with Layali and Leah, and I absolutely love all 6 of my trash babies, and I don't know really which one's my favorite. The way this ended though, I'm gonna need Kaz to have some kind of really good tricks up his sleeve. We're gonna be buddy reading Crooked Kingdom starting next week, and I'm gonna need them to be okay. As I've already said before in this video talking about Ninth House, like, Leigh Bardugo is the best. So glad I finally read this series that I've only been hearing about forever. Then the last thing I read for Spookathon was Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky. Just check out that vlog to get my whole thoughts on that. I have a whole video dedicated to that. The reviews were right. It was really awesome for like the first 500 pages. And then the last 200 pages just took a preachy, religious turn, and it just wasn't it, chief. As you can see, I don't have it anymore. I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars, solely based on the enjoyment of most of the book. Apparently, Stephen Chbosky became some kind of priest during his 20-year writing hiatus. After all of that, I needed a cute contemporary, so I picked up The Bookish Life of Nina Hill by Abby Waxman. I identified with Nina so hard, it's not even funny. She's a bookish introvert that doesn't have time for a love life because there's too many books to read. And if that isn't me, I don't know what is. The romance of this wasn't my absolute favorite. I feel like it kind of went from 0 to 100 out of nowhere, which is why I didn't give it 5 stars. In this book, Nina finds out that she has a lot more family members than she ever thought she did, and she's navigating that. And her work life in the bookstore with her friends. Like, I really liked all of that. And I ended up giving it 4 stars. And then, because Layali told me to, I read The Winter Sister by Megan Collins. This follows our main character whose sister disappeared when they were younger. And then her mom kind of shut down and became a raging alcoholic and wasn't good for anything. Now, I do gotta say, I listened to the audiobook for this, and it had me hooked. Like, it was a good story, and I wanted to keep listening and find out what was gonna happen. But this was so messed up. Like, these parents were horrible. Trigger warnings for, like I mentioned before, alcoholism, parental neglect, also self-harm, incest. That's all I'm going to say on that one, not getting into spoilers. I did end up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. Then I read a very anticipated arc, Get a Life Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. Well, the hype surrounding this is so well deserved. It was excellent. I gave it 5 stars. This follows our main character, Chloe Brown, who in the very beginning of the book almost gets hit by a car. And she kind of has one of those moments where like her life flashes before her eyes and she's like, what would people even say about me at my funeral? So she makes a list of things that she wants to do to be more exciting. She ends up enlisting the help of the superintendent of her apartment building, Red. Now, from the jump, these two have so much sexual tension. It's so good. Red is a super sweet, kind-souled artist, but is also big and tall, tatted, and a biker dude as well. Love that. Right off the bat, we've got hate to love, which I love. The main character, Chloe, has fibromyalgia and is in pain constantly, so that was something that we don't see in books often. I enjoyed seeing her day-to-day life dealing with that. And Red was with a toxic narcissist named Pippa and ends up going to therapy in this book. So that was good to see that not only women go through that, men end up in bad relationships too, and it is okay to go to therapy. I love that that was normalized. Talia Hibbert really hit it out of the park with this one. And the next book in this series follows Chloe's sister, Danny, and that should be really fun. I cannot wait. Now we're going to get into the books I read for Witchathon, and that is going to wrap up this month. The last video I posted was a Witchathon vlog, so most of these you've already heard me talk about. The Book Woman of Troublesome Creek by Kim Michelle Richardson. This takes place in Kentucky in the 30s, and the main character is a pack horse librarian, which means she rides her horse around delivering books to these impoverished people. I talk at length in my vlog about this, so I ended up giving it 5 stars. Very emotional, and you can tell a lot of research and heart and soul went into this book. Now entering Adamsville by Francesca Zappia. I expected a lot out of this and was disappointed. I ended up giving it 2 stars. It wasn't outright horrible, but I just didn't care is the problem. One thing I didn't mention in the vlog is I see people talk about how this is good, like, depression rep, and I didn't get that at all. So, I don't know. I guess take what I say with a grain of salt, because a lot of people loved this. Just wasn't for me. Hocus Pocus and the all-new sequel. So glad I finally picked this up. This is the book I pretty much read throughout that entire vlog, so all my thoughts and feels are in there, but 4 out of 5 stars. I hope if they do actually make a sequel to Hocus Pocus that this is what it is, following Poppy and Travis and Isabella. It was really cute, and I can definitely see how it would be a good movie. The Bone House is by Emily Lloyd-Jones. This I ended up finishing after that vlog. I gave it 4 stars. This follows our main character, Wren, and Ellis. Wren is a gravedigger, and Ellis is a map maker, and he had a shoulder injury which causes him pain, so he's more chronic pain rep and in a fantasy this time, so that's good. Wren and Ellis are on a mission to find out why these things called bone houses, which are basically zombies, are leaving this forest that they were supposed to be confined to and attacking the town. There's a lot of Welsh mythology in this, which we don't see a lot of. I know this is YA, but I feel like it's read kind of young. I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. I really did like it, but it just wasn't like a 5-star feeling to me. I did appreciate how it tackled the themes of grief and loss. And also, hooray for standalone fantasies. I finally read Circe by Madeline Miller. Oh my god, I'm so glad that I finally did. I gave this 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. This does follow Greek mythology, but kind of turns it on its head. Very feminist and empowering, and really a love letter to magic. When Circe is exiled to Aiaia and is coming into her power and being comfortable with herself, that was the best. This does span for Circe's whole entire life. So it's like you blink and on the next page like 50 years have passed. There's a lot packed into here as far as timeline goes. While it is dense with mythology and her history, I felt like it was still very readable and keeps your interest. I definitely loved it. I see why this is a lot of people's favorite now. It also helps that horrible men are turned into pigs like they deserve. Wish I could do that. Last but not least, the 25th book, The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn. I did mention in my vlog, I read this back in 2016 and gave it 4 stars then, and I'm giving it 4 stars again now. She really put a lot into these 62 pages. The narrator of the story has no name. She's now a fortune teller because her old wrist ain't what it used to be. And she has a client that ends up sucking her in. And there's weird things going on at their house, and she ends up getting involved in that. Definitely some messed up, flawed characters. It's super quick, definitely worth a read. I ended up making this fit for the Witchathon prompt of read a book that promises to be dark and twisted. And this definitely is. Comment down below and let me know what you read and what your favorite books of the month were. Subscribe if you like what you see, and go ahead and check out some other videos I made while you're at it. All my social medias will link down below if you want to be my friend on any other platforms. And until then, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!